As complicated as as this may seem, and I've talked about it before, it's not as complicated as you think it is. Now, when you have a smart TV and it has the likes of YouTube already pre-installed into it, and your smart TV is a 4K, maybe even 8K if you can afford that, then the viewport and frames you're going to get, the viewport slash frames you're going to get, at least with 4K, is going to be 1920 by 1080 asterisk 2.00. And the reason there's an asterisk after the zero of the 1080 and right before the 2.00 is because they're telling you that the viewport and frames that you're watching, the screen you're watching from, is 1080, but it's been up tilted to 4K. In other words, you're watching stuff from a 1920 by 1080 screen, but it's been up tilted to 4K resolution. Now, the reason I bring that up is because when you look below it and it says current optical, or it says current slash optical resolution, basically, it's telling you that this is the format, this is the resolution that this was, made in. Whether it's 1080, whether it is 4K, whether it is, 4K, which is 2160, or, it's 720, you name it, 480. It will tell you, it'll tell you above that what frames you're watching it in. So if you're watching a 480p resoluted, not resoluted, but 4P resolution, 480p resolution, picture on a 4K television, and the viewport frames is 1920 by 1080 or somewhere in between because they have to adjust it, and it has that asterisk of 2.00, it's telling you that you're watching it in 4K, even though it doesn't seem like that. Some would look at that and be like, well, it's just telling us we're watching it in 1080p, maybe 2K at most. No, you're watching it in 4K, except the difference is, is that viewport slash frames aspect that tells you that the screen you're watching it on, which is the smart TV, which the YouTube is, pre-installed onto, is a 1080 screen, but the resolution of that 1080 has been upticked to 4K by ×2. But what's interesting is what you see in these pictures. These pictures are taken from the PS5, which I've installed YouTube onto, and as you can tell with the PS5, the viewport slash frames are not described as 1920 by 1080 ×2. No, they're described as 3420 by 2160, or 3480 by 2160. There is no 2.00 next to it or anything like that. It is showing you through the PS5's running of YouTube that you are watching whatever video that you're watching, whether it is a 4K video, whether it is 1080, 2K, whether it's 720 or 480 or even 144p, you are watching it in 4K. The viewport and frames you're watching it in, it's 4K. So I know that sounds a little confusing, but it's true. And what that means is that any device that you have, whether it's a Roku device or a Fire Stick or a Google TV or whatever, or you have a PS5, maybe a PS4 Pro, or an Xbox Series X, if you will, maybe an Xbox One, or a Blu-ray, Ultra Blu-ray 4K player, with the ability to, have these apps installed, if not already pre-installed. What it's telling you is you're going to be watching those if they are upticked to up converted, or at least upgraded to this, updated too. It's telling you that you're watching those as they're meant to be seen off that device. You're watching them in 4K. You're not watching them on a 1080 screen that's been upticked to 4K resolution because hey, the TV, you own that's advertised as 4K, you know, that's advertised as 4K. Basically, its screen width is not at that measure or whatever. But yeah, it's kind of weird and, like I said, kind of convoluted. But it does show that not only it does show that if you want to have that true, I guess you could say, viewport slash frame presentation in 4K on a 4K TV or monitor, then you need to use not your TV, not your smart TV, your 4K smart TV, but you need to use the device connected to it, whether it's the PS5, the PS4 Pro, the Xbox Series X/S, or the Xbox One, or even a 4K Ultra Blu-ray player, a smart Blu-ray player that will have it installed, or you'll have to install yourself. It's telling you that you basically, it's telling you that if you want that clear resolution or that true definition of 4K in people's minds, it's telling you that you need to go that route. When you see that difference, like I have, it tells you need to go that route. I know it sounds like I lost a little bit of track there. I was trying to think about what I was going to say. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. And it's not just with YouTube either. These images here from Fandango at Home, which formerly was Vudu, VUDU, as well as Prime Video and such. And my finger hit the mic there. I do apologize. These images here from My Little Pony the movie, the 2017 version, show you that basically you can watch a movie like that in 4K and in high dynamic range. When you watch it, through the app on your smart TV, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get HDR. You're not going to get an uptick to 4K. The only closest you get, as I've mentioned before, is using the picture option to go from standard to natural to movie to dynamic. And dynamic would be the closest you're going to get. But when you watch it on a device like PS5 or PS4 Pro or the ones that I've mentioned that, basically output 4K right away and HDR, then what you're going to get basically, even with the app, you're going to get your movie, whatever it is, that may not, be capable or, up or not be capable or even considered to get that 4K HDR upgrade. You're going to be able to watch it in 4K and in HDR because your app will be basically in HDR. That's right. Just like YouTube, YouTube overall will be in HDR, so will the Fandango at Home, formerly Vudu app, will be in HDR. Same with Prime Video, same with Disney Plus and Max. Any of the things there that might have gotten an up conversion to 1080p, 720, whatever, or just remaining in the resolution they are, you play them on a device like the PS5 or an Xbox Series X/X or Xbox One or PS4 Pro or the 4K Ultra Blu-ray player that basically automatically presents it in high dynamic range and maybe even 4K. You're going to be able to have that opportunity to see those shows and movies in the way that you feel they should be watched nowadays with the evolution of technology and resolutions and formats. So yeah, again, I know it sounds confusing. I know it sounds, convoluted, and I may sound like I'm rambling here, but it's true. And I know there are people more sophisticated and more knowledgeable of this stuff than I am here on outlets like YouTube. They can tell you more about it. But at the end of the day, if you have a PS5, if you have an Xbox Series X/S, an Xbox One, a PS4 Pro, a Ruko that's in 4K, or that, basically outputs in 4K, a Fire Stick that outputs in 4K or whatever, those, along with the 4K Ultra Blu-ray players, smart ones that is, those are probably your only outlets of being able to watch a lot of that stuff that if the app is already pre-installed on your smart TV or you're going to install it on your smart TV, does not give you right away unless it's programmed into it. Unless it's programmed into it, these other manners that I mentioned might be the best way. Like if you want to watch My Little Pony 2017, that movie in HDR, high dynamic range, you got to watch it on something like a PS5, and then go to picture mode, see that it's in HDR, and then go to the dynamic option on picture mode to really get that full immersiveness of what it would look like, as a 4K presentation. And like I said, the same goes for not just the Fandango at Home app, but all the other apps that are very similar. And again, I know it sounds confusing, but it is a fact. It is a scientific fact, and the evidence here visually you see kind of helps provide that. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. What are your thoughts on all this? Comment down below, live chat, don't forget to like the video, and until next time, I'm out.